Hey, what's going on, everyone? Nozu for you here, and some random gameplay today. The gameplay doesn't really matter so much. I just wanted to use this as a venue to talk about some things that are going on in the headlines. Primarily, aliens. Yeah, I'm not saying it's aliens, but aliens. And this is a topic that really intrigues me. Because, going back to the 50s and even beyond, humans have been intrigued by the thought of extraterrestrials being amongst us. You've got popular fiction right now, science fiction dealing with the subjects. Some of you might be watching on Disney the Marvel show with the Skrulls, Secret Invasion. I just think that people in general, regardless of who they are, have a fascination with unexplained phenomena in this country and the world for that matter. Going back to even conspiracy theories with ancient Egypt and everything else. And I am among those individuals that is extremely fascinated by the thought of extraterrestrials and technology that would allow those individuals or beings to come visit us. But that's kind of what I want to talk about, because just yesterday and in the past months, we've had a lot of hearings on Capitol Hill regarding, I think they're calling them unexplained aerial phenomenon right now, UAPs, which not as easy to say as UFOs, unexplained flying objects. And I guess, there's a difference between objects and phenomenon. Phenomenon is just, is phenomena the plural of phenomenon? Phenomenon. Not going to go there. It's early in the morning. I'm still drinking coffee. Anyhow, I guess it makes more sense to label these as phenomenons instead of objects, because it covers a lot more. So anyhow, Capitol Hill, you have whistleblowers, including one individual who says that he's been threatened with his life for bringing this information to the public, states that the U.S. government is in possession of non-terrestrial technology and biological beings. Essentially, he's saying that a spacecraft crashed on Earth and we have possession of the bodies of these beings and their spacecraft. This is no different than Roswell and things that have been going on or hypothesized and conspiracy theorized since the 1950s. Even my granddad, I think, was at Fort Sill, and he said in the 50s or late 40s, something strange happened that they still don't know the full details of to this day, or at least in 2002 when he passed away. That's another story for another time. Very interesting, my granddad and his military service in World War II. But those are other stories for other days. So back to the topic at hand and this hearing on Capitol Hill. This individual claiming these just crazy theories, or at least some of us might think they're crazy. And he is up there in front of Congress, and he put his hand to the Bible, so to speak, and said that everything he's going to say is the absolute truth. And he's not the only one. There's other individuals saying that the Pentagon has a super secret program for finding these type of terrestrial or extraterrestrial objects, which I don't doubt. I mean, that would only make sense that the Pentagon has something like that, the DoD. I mean, I don't doubt that. That is a perfectly normal thing. I would imagine that all government agencies have a small office dedicated to finding technology that they deem either not of this earth or so advanced that they're trying to figure out where it came from. So my views on this, and that's kind of what I want to get into, my thoughts on this whole thing. First, I'm not saying I don't believe this guy who was on Capitol Hill yesterday. What's his name? Gersh or Gersh. But I've known some very smart individuals, some geniuses who over time they just, for lack of a better word, go crazy. So I'm not saying that he doesn't believe what he thinks, but it might be a little stretch of the truth, or he might just believe it so much that he thinks it's real. I don't know. Regardless, I'm not buying the whole extraterrestrial alien thing right now. I'm just not. And the reason that personally, me, Zoop, the reason that I don't is because of my knowledge of astronomy and space and things related to that. And some of you know that I consider myself an amateur astronomer, maybe even amateur. But I do know a lot about space through astrophotography and observation and just observing the night sky and everything else. And I think for the average UAP that individuals in this country and other countries see, 9 times out of 10 it can be explained. Whether it's Starlink going across the sky in a chain of bright lights that people think are aliens, or a rocket booster disintegrating in the atmosphere as it comes back, crashing down to Earth, that splits off into many pieces, or even even groups of people parachuting with lights that just seem to sit in the sky as they twirl around and everything. You know, nine times out of 10, these things are highly explainable. And yes, there is that 1 out of 10 times where something happens that, you know, we're just like, what the hell is this? I can't explain this. And yes, that's a UAP or UFO, whatever you want to describe. And I would imagine even with further research, you know, these things can be explained. You know, we still have a lot of top secret military projects out there, things that not even the public knows about. And for an example of that, I mean, look at the stealth Black Hawk that was used in the Bin Laden raid. I mean, we know it exists. We saw the damaged tail fin that broke off and exploded after one of them crashed. We still have not seen this helicopter. We still have not seen illustrations or photos of it. I mean, we know it's out there. We know there's a stealth Black Hawk, and maybe those were the only two that existed. We don't know. But yes, the military, when it wants to, can keep things very, very secret. And I imagine the other militaries of this world can do the same, which might explain some of these UAPs. I mean, Russia might have technology we don't know about. Great Britain, you know, China even, other countries might have stuff that just defy what conventional wisdom would think is possible. But yes, it is possible because we've had, you know, 60, 70, 80 years of jet propulsion research and everything else, and some of the greatest minds on the planet working on these things with NASA and elsewhere. So that explains the UAPs, but now I'm just going to talk about why I don't think we've been visited, or that quote-unquote aliens are not here. And that just is due to the vastness of space. I mean, people don't realize how big space really is, how long it takes to get from point A to point B. Even if you have light speed or faster than light speed. That's why we measure space in light years. You know, it takes the sunlight, about 9 minutes to get from the sun to Earth. Again, that's within our solar system. One star in a galaxy, the Milky Way, of millions and millions of stars, separated by thousands of light years. I mean, you look at the closest star to us, Alpha Centauri, and I mean, even at light speed, it's going to take years to get there. Years. So that is one thing against the possibility of beings being able to visit us. Just the vastness of space and what that would take to get here. The second aspect is it would essentially be a suicide mission at light speed due to that. Any being that comes to Earth is on a one-way trip. There's no going back for them. No going back. Once they get here, they're stuck here because it's taken so long to get here from wherever they hailed from, which is most likely in our own galaxy, because for the possibility for someone outside our galaxy to visit us, that's going to take, I mean, 1,000 years, even more, at light speed again. And that's the other thing. You need a spacecraft that can survive that long, going that speed with a propulsion system that will propel that craft for that long to get here. So those are just two complications right now on individuals visiting us. The fact that the vastness of space and the amount of time it would take to get here is one thing that precludes it from happening. And the second thing is, again, it's a suicide mission due to that, even if they had the technology. And the third thing that would preclude it, and which is another reason why I wouldn't be worried about an alien attack whatsoever, is just time and gravity and all that other stuff that causes the situation where time passes differently on different planets. So whoever comes to visit us at faster than light speed in their spacecraft that gives them the ability to do so, when they get here, not only has the time elapsed just from travel, but due to the differences in the planets and just gravity and everything else, there's the potential for hundreds, if not thousands of years to have elapsed on their home planet, wherever that might be. So whoever comes here is on a one-way trip. It's not like they're going to be able to message whoever it is, which is another impossibility, and say, hey, come attack. These Earthlings are dumb. No, the chances are that whatever civilization they came from has rapidly changed or no longer exists. Their planet might not even exist, again, because of time. So those are three reasons why I don't believe we've been visited, why I don't think we're going to ever be visited, and why I just don't believe any of this. Now, that does not exclude other theories and other potential aspects of travel, and that's one thing that I have not brought up, and that is either wormholes or interdimensional travel. I guess both of those could be a possibility. We have talked about wormholes. I mean, we've got some very, very bright astrophysicists and everyone else contemplating how to create a wormhole, which is basically bending space and time and gravity so that you can essentially punch a hole through all those things and get from point A to point B in an instant, eliminating the need for light speed travel or anything like that. Now, to do that, the technology would have to be there, and yes, it's possible to say that if alien beings out there have that type of technology, yes, they could potentially figure that out, and yes, they could potentially visit us. But if that were the case, and they could, I don't think they'd be stupid enough to somehow crash land their aircraft on our planet. I think they would be a lot smarter than that. Their craft would be just so technologically advanced that it wouldn't even be possible to crash it. I mean, they would probably have autopilot to the max. I mean, it would be impossible. I mean, if they figured out how to create wormholes, they probably are on the cusp of immortality and other things. Same with interdimensional travel, which I imagine would be even harder to do than create a wormhole. So, I mean, at the very opposite end of the spectrum, on the yes, I think it's possible we have beings here type of thing, you would have to have beings with such technology that they could essentially do things that, I mean, if you could do that, we'd never know they're here. I mean, it's crazy to think that. And if they had that technology, then, you know, well, and that's the other thing. There are so many suns in this universe, billions and billions, with potential solar systems around them, with potential habitable planets. For them to come to us and us alone, or somehow pinpoint us, that is another impossibility. I mean, 1 in trillions. 1 in trillions, essentially. It's finding like a needle in a stack of needles hidden in a haystack, hidden in another haystack. It's just impossible. So those are the reasons why me, Zoob, amateur astronomer, again, I'm not an astrophysicist, that is why I don't believe there are aliens among us. That is why I don't believe we've been visited. And I think any of this talk on Capitol Hill is either smoke and mirrors hiding something else, or just a couple of people that have been working on the project so long that they've kind of gone nuts. That's just me. And I don't think they're lying to Congress on purpose. I think they believe what they're saying, but I do believe there is a level of craziness there that is causing this. So that is what I have outlined. Those are my beliefs and why I don't think it's possible. But I'm really interested to hear what you think, because I know a fair amount of you are probably watching this on the news and everything else. Some of you might be like me. You fancy yourselves occasional scientists and astronomers. Some of you might just like this stuff, science fiction, and ponder this in your own time. But I want to know. Let me know in the comments of this video what you think about all this, and do you think we're alone? Do you think we'll always be alone? Or do you think that there are aliens among us? I'm interested to know, and I like this conversation and debate. So, again, let's get this conversation going, and I will catch you all later. Hope you all are doing wonderful. Zoop out.